The actor who urged Biden to drop out of the 2024 presidential election is speaking out about the election results. That is George Clooney, who appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert Tuesday and talked politics.
We're kind of talking around what's sort of the giant elephant always in the room. There's, we all, I was raised a Democrat in Kentucky, so I've had a lot of fun in my life. You can imagine. Yes. It's been nothing but fun.
Sure.
And, I've lost a lot of elections. First time I voted, it was 1980, so I was a Carter guy, and Reagan won, and then I lost to some Bushes, and I won with some Clintons and Obamas, and I lost. And, this is democracy, and this is how it works. And, what the hell?
How'd it go this time for you? I forgot who you were supporting.
Well, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Storm the f***ing Capitol? It's like, it didn't work out. That's what happens.
There you go. Next time.
It's part of democracy.
The actor also shared a message for Donald Trump. Let's take a look.
I hope you do well because our country needs it. And then we'll meet you in 3.5 years and see where we go next. That's part of the thing. What?
Bet there'll be another. Let's not get out over our skis, George.
Well, I don't...
you play by the rules, but both sides have to believe that there should be rules. That's what I would say.
Yeah, there's some truth there.
Yes.
Well,
they say if you're saving your country, you can commit no crime.
I heard that.
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Wow, what a cool thing.
There's a personal backstory here in that Clooney's father, Nick, was a broadcast journalist who instilled values about the Fourth Estate in his son. On The Late Show, Clooney took a swipe at all three branches of government and said they're failing. He said the so-called Fourth Estate must fill the gaps.
Forever, we've had this issue, which is power kind of hates the Fourth Estate. They hate journalism. And my father's an anchorman and a newsman, and we've always believed in the idea of when the other three estates, the judiciary branch and the executive branch, and when they all fail you, you really need that Fourth Estate, right? It has to be the people that can hold people to account. And this is one of those, this is a moment of us at our best. And I always like to show, and I like the idea of seeing ourselves at our best. I think that's always an exciting thing to do.
Clooney previously produced a movie about McCarthyism and about CBS legend Edward R. Murrow nearly 20 years ago. The adaptation of that movie will open on Broadway next month.
I saw that movie.
I saw that movie too, and normally I'm terrible in movies, but I actually did see that one. I thought it was good.
It was fine.
You thought it was too mainstream media loving, probably.
I mean, I saw it like 20 years ago,
know, right?
So I don't think I had the same.
We were all younger men then,
views
Robby.
that I have now. Look, to George Clooney, or I guess it was more Stephen Colbert's fear that we won't have an election, or Trump's going to cancel elections or something. I would say, nope, there will be an election in 4 years. This is not Ukraine, so we will have our election right on schedule. And
if we're invaded, we won't be having our election in defense of Mr. Zelensky.
Even if we were invaded, our elections just take place like that. Look, I thought George Clooney's attitude in this interview was perfectly fine. He's correct that you win some, you lose some, and you start organizing for next time. And Democrats were in the horrible position they were in, as we've discussed at great length, and even today, because Joe Biden decided to run for re-election anyway, and at some point along the way became not so necessarily capable of doing the job of presidency, or at least, and especially the job of running for president. And George Clooney took notice of that and did play a role, a significant role, in persuading him, or forcing him, really, that he had to drop out. So, I don't think anyone's going to really fault him for that, because even though Kamala Harris did lose, I still think Joe Biden would have lost even more devastatingly. Mm-hmm. So
you seem rather. I mean, you're being
about
slightly nice to him, but you're. Look,
I don't especially despise George. I mean, I obviously don't share his politics.
Yeah.
I think he's a good actor. I like seeing him in movies.
Sure. Well, I thought that his comments on the Fourth Estate were actually important and useful, because I think we are at a time.
Well, I do hate other journalists, but
well, it's just at a time when the whole point of journalism is kind of under attack, and in all kinds of ways, both minor and major. We've been going through this rather ludicrous episode about the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, and the Associated Press being punished for their refusal to just adopt the administration's language. There are other bigger points. I mean, you, to your credit, made the argument that Politico was being wrongly kind of defamed by some of the reaction whenever the USAID stuff was going on. In fact, you know, people for whom information is important in their jobs were paying for subscriptions to a news organization's premier product. It wasn't a nefarious plot. So, you know, all of these things, I think, contribute to an atmosphere in which the media is, for all its faults, and we talk about its faults quite a lot here, is in fact worth defending.
There are, sure, I agree with that. There are quite a lot of faults, and yes, some of the attacks on the media, not every lazy, going after media sort of criticism that every MAGA person makes is accurate or valid. As you point out, I pointed out with the Politico thing. Still, you know, to compare Murrow, this legendary CBS journalist known for his efforts to expose McCarthy for not Kevin McCarthy, different McCarthy.
Different McCarthy.
Earlier McCarthy for making inconsistent claims about, or incorrect claims about pervasive communists in the government. You know, that is fondly remembered correctly as speaking truth to power. You know, I had a lot of criticisms for modern day CBS over the last few days. The interview with Marco Rubio that we discussed on Monday that Margaret Brennan did, that I talked about it the last 2 days. You weren't here. I finally did watch the entire 60-minute segment where they interview those German prosecutors, and oof, I don't think they really made themselves come. There was just not enough scrutiny of what there was almost a wistful the whole way through of like, wow, you're able to arrest people for doing these kinds of things, that I think sort of betrays the spirit of a Murrow. But
I didn't actually see or didn't interpret, I should say, the attitude of that 60-minute segment in the same way. I thought that the journalist in that instance was kind of delighted she was getting them to say what they were saying, because she understood there was a story in that and therefore wanted them to continue in their rather unguarded way.
I was waiting for her to eventually say, and you get how crazy you sound, right? And that maybe that would have reassured me. Or, maybe it's as you said, but I just didn't detect that at all.
Do you, I mean, to what extent are you concerned from your perspective about Trump's attacks on the media? Because they do seem to me serious. They do seem to me to be pretty noxious and to create a pretty unpleasant environment.
It depends what it is. I mean, Trump has the right to criticize the media. You know, if it's attacks on the media, if it's just him saying failing New York Times, CNN ratings lower than ever, you know, is that a productive use of his time? Whatever. But he has the right to do that, and I don't perceive that as an attack on the media. Now, some of the actions taken, like suing Jan Seltzer, is obviously ludicrous and should not happen, and I'm glad the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression is defending her. I don't want to have his Justice Department or his FCC organize investigations of media entities. Of course, I was also against Democrats doing the exact same thing as they have, as I pointed out numerous times, threatening cable providers for platforming conservative news and media. I want my government to leave the media alone. And I think he should outsource more of his media criticism and commentary to just conservative media to do it.
Well, they'd be certainly eager to take up that baton.
Right, if the government, there's always a little bit of, you know, if the government's doing it, it can be interpreted as a threat, even if it's just criticism. You know, I've attacked Joe Biden an endless number of times for accusing Facebook of killing people. Now, it wasn't just that accusation. It then also was followed through on, and if they don't do more of the moderation I want, we're going to be changing the regulations that apply to social media companies. That was a threat that the White House Deputy Communications Director made. So I think it has to be more than just these people suck and I hate them.
Yeah, but I mean, when he's talking about using power to, for example, take away licenses and so on, that's obviously excessive and a pretty autocratic use or threat to use power in an autocratic
I don't even
way.
want to attack licenses to do what? There should be no licensing credentialing system for the media.
Yeah, but that's a separate argument from the fact that there is, and he wants to change it when he gets coverage he doesn't like.
Yeah.
That's obviously undemocratic behavior.
Not for that at all. That does it for us today on Rising. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you can find podcasts. See you later. Bye-bye.